Hi, my name is Victoria Rondeau, and I've been asked by Mrs. Thompson to talk to you about what steampunk really is. One of the things that I've done first is dress up like a person who does steampunk stuff. Meaning, as a woman, I'm wearing a long skirt. I have a shirt that's high up at the neck. I'm wearing what's called a corset, which in Victorian times, like the 1800s, women wore on the inside of their clothes, and they weren't with zippers and all this other kind of stuff. But in steampunk, we sort of twist things around so that the underwear goes on the outside, sort of, and we make it attractive so that it looks like it's a piece of clothing that you'd wear every day. I also have my baldric, which has all sorts of tools on it to help me if I'm going to go on a steampunk adventure. I have a compass and an astrolabe here. I have various measuring devices. I have a compass. I have a pocket to keep stuff in. And I've got some special tubes up here in case I have a need of whatever's in that tube. And I'm also wearing my hair up the way they wore it in Victorian times, again the 1800s, with a hat that's called a fascinator. Itty bitty hat on the back of your head, fascinator. Anyway, steampunk is where you pretend that all the stuff that they did in Victorian times, like this kind of stuff, they actually continue to do into the future. So nowadays when you have an iPod or a cell phone, they're very square and angular and kind of silver, and they don't have any wood or anything on that. Well, the Victorians wouldn't have done that. The Victorians would have added wood. They would have added gold inlay. They would have put gears on it. There would have been all sorts of things on it to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. And so what I've put out here are some examples of some things that I've either made or that things you can get to give you an idea of what steampunk is all about. First of all, there are some movies that have a steampunk theme. The Wild Wild West with Will Smith and Kevin Kline. You see the spider there? That's very, very steampunk. Also, the movie Hugo. Here is a blueprint of the mannequin in Hugo. That's a very steampunk film, and this actually is all about how they made the movie. Here are examples of things that they have taken and repurposed. All these gears have come from different kinds of clocks, and they've put them in to make these decorative jewelry designs. There's even a steampunk version of The Wizard of Oz that you can read if you want, and a steampunk alphabet for little kids. But looking specifically at what is here on the table, you will see that there are gears like this, fiddly wood bits, pen nibs. This is what they used to write with before they had ballpoint pens. Earrings that are clock faces with gears and hands from clocks. Here are some actual clock faces from old-fashioned watches. I took these watches apart and kept the clock faces. And this is what the inside of a watch looks like. That's a really old one. You can tell from how rusty it is. See? This is a newer one, and you need itty-bitty screwdrivers to take them apart. These are clock parts from a bigger cuckoo clock. And other things you can put stuff in. This is a pocket watch, which was big in Victorian times. You can put stuff in it, and you can carry it around, and it can be like a piece of jewelry. And there's even chain you can get that has gears on it and stuff like that. In the steampunk class that you're going to be doing with Mrs. Thompson, you're going to be taking things and repurposing them to make them look like they're sort of Victorian, and you're going to use everyday products, everyday things, and stuff that you've taken apart, and you're going to put them together in new ways. But this requires a lot of imagination. You have to imagine yourself as some sort of adventurer, or as someone who's going to go out and explore new worlds or see new things. And so you need to think about what these devices you're making are going to do on your mission. If you're making a telescope, is it a telescope that sees really far away? Is it a telescope that sees into time? You need to think more about what your devices are going to do, as well as how cool you can make them so that they're Victorian and steampunky. And that's all I've got to say here. I hope you guys enjoy the class.